Susan B. Anthony once said, "There will never be complete equality until women themselves help make laws and elect lawmakers." My name is Barinder Rasode, and I was the first South Asian woman elected to Surrey City Council. In 2014, I ran for mayor, and I lost. I'm going to share the story of my journey, and my journey as a South Asian woman. It's interesting because I've always defined myself as Canadian. But what I learned in the 2014 campaign was that gender, race, patriarchy, and populism played a very big role, and is one of the reasons we don't have more South Asian women seeking office. In my journey, I learned that we have come a long way, but we have a long way to go. In the South Asian community, gender bias starts at birth. The birth of men and boys is celebrated, and the birth of girls is often mourned. It's not to say that we haven't made progress. I know that men in the South Asian community are also not comfortable with the cultural expectations that are thrust upon them. And as we move forward, we need to do that together. After the election, I was invited to a school to speak. A young woman ran up to me and gave me a big hug. And she said, "I desperately tried to get my dad to vote for you." And he said, "No, she's divorced." In that moment, I felt like I had been kicked in the stomach. I felt trapped and I felt vulnerable. But at the same time, something inside of me said, "Whoa, this wasn't about your ability, your skills, or your qualification. This was about your gender and your ethnicity." I left my marriage after 23 years. Nobody cared for my reasons for leaving or who I was. What it became was a story that I was a disrespectful woman and I had dishonored my family. But nobody had talked to my family about my decision. Divorce is still considered a taboo. And sadly, in some cultures, divorce is a taboo, but in the name of honor, they murder those they're supposed to love and protect. The United Nations estimates that over 5,000 women are killed each year in the name of protecting family honor. They are stabbed, they are burned, they're buried alive. In the announcement for me running for mayor, it was very interesting that I was seen as the front runner because there are more South Asians in Surrey than any city outside of India. And I quickly realized that it came to a complete shock to people that I was trailing so badly. In the lead up to my announcement, a very tragic event happened in the community. A temple leader beat his elderly wife to death. I was called by the media to comment. But my campaign team cautioned me against commenting because men in the community would be offended, and they had the power to sway thousands of votes. Thousands. Sad reality is, they do have the power. In the political process, they have the power to either elevate you in a nomination or to knock you down. They have the power to raise funds or break alliances with potential fundraising partners. In partisan politics, they're often the ones with the seat at the table that make a decision on who makes a qualified candidate. Well, I did the interview anyways. When I was elected, I had decided that I had a voice, and I needed to use that voice. And so I created the Surrey Coalition Against Domestic Abuse, and I helped start the Rocky Project. The Rocky Project actually honors real values, real South Asian values of love and respect. The stronger I got, the thicker the glass ceiling got. The more recognition I got from residents in the community, the more media attention I got, the more the backlash came. I was a disruptive woman. Now I look at where we go from here, and I look at how do we dismantle patriarchy, and how do we make the conversation around ethnicity and gender not to be the leading dialogue when we decide who is good to represent us. So I look at young people in the South Asian community and how hard they are fighting for the same battle that I am fighting, which is to be a true Canadian. At the doorstep, we also heard many, many times that I was too brown for some people and too white for some in my community. As I look at the young woman and think of the young woman as she enters her career, I hope that she is able to understand that her true value will come from the commitment that she makes in honoring herself. But how does she do that in a culture where at birth she is told she is not equal? I'll tell you how that happens. That'll happen in the home. I have 3 children. I teach my daughter that she is equal. I teach her she is no less, but no greater than anyone. That she does not have to play by the rules of the game to be a part of the boys' club. I teach my sons that they have a responsibility, but let me tell you, I feel the burden of the heaviness that I know that the cultural expectations and norms that they have the freedom to be boys will be boys or men will be men, and how that plays a role in shaping them on who they are and how they move forward in their future. I think that all of us in this room, as we move forward, and we move forward to make sure that we are taking the political process not as something that is foreign to us, but as something that we have impact on, that we compel partisan politics to look at candidates based on all the things that we see in ourselves, not based on them having the power to screen people out because of their gender and their ethnicity. So that patriarchy doesn't have the same control on nomination processes and on fundraising processes, because that is how we will ultimately affect change. Because Susan B. Anthony was right, that until we have more women who are part of those decisions, nothing changes. And I want to end with a quote. That technology is not my friend today. I'm ending my speech with a quote from a man. And many women or feminists may say there's no room for men in this equation, but there is an equal role for men in this equation. Because until men step up, and until men are prepared to put aside those barriers that create the glass ceilings or the double glass ceilings, nothing will change. And President Obama has said that we must carry forward the work of women who came before us and ensure our daughters have no limits to their dreams, no obstacles to their achievements, and no remaining ceilings to shatter for their success. Thank you very much, and next time you cast a ballot looking at your candidate and making sure that we're elevating more women to the position of making those type of decisions so that the future generations actually have impactful change that won't take 100 years to make men and women equal. Thank you.